Welcome back to a new video on this channel, and on this occasion is Flex from Minimal Audio. What I usually do is to split the sections of the plugin so I can teach you the parts and show you what it can do. Now on this one, all the parts are super connected. You can get a classic chorus, or maybe you can go wild and get spatial crazy sounds. Let's go with the basics first. I'm gonna go to 2 voices. You can do up to 24 voices, which is a lot. In this case, I'm just gonna select 2. I'm gonna go time all the way down and just go all the way down on these knobs, and I'm gonna turn off the modulation. A chorus belongs to the delay family. It creates copies. And in this case, we have 2 voices, which means that we have 2 different copies. And then at the bottom, we blend the copies with the original one. I have a tiny clip. I'm gonna play it right now. And as you can hear, I'm going to turn off the chorus for now. As you can hear, is the very dull sound. And that's, the whole point. I'm going to turn the chorus on and just, we are doing pretty much nothing. We don't get anything super special. The copies that this is creating will be delayed in time. This is why this belongs to the delay family. If I play it back and I start moving this around, what we are doing, we are just pushing back the copies from the original one. And as we push it more, we get a more obvious effect. And this is one voice, and this is the other one. This is how a chorus works. Alright, so this is how you handle the time with this knob. You cannot argue that it sounds a little bit phasey. And it's because everything, it's right there, stuck. It's not moving. And what a chorus does is going to do something like this to generate the chorus sound that we know. So this is going to be the modulation section. At the top, you can turn it on. When you turn it on, if I play it, and I go maybe right here, notice that now the voices are moving up and down, following this instruction. Now on this plugin, the modulation is going to be a sine wave, but you can randomize it at the bottom, and instead of getting a sine wave, you're going to be getting something else, right? So you're randomizing it. Now the less you go, the movement is going to be less, and therefore less aggressive. If I go up, it's going to be a bit more obvious. You can sync it to your DAW tempo, if you wish, you must. And right here at the bottom, you have the rate. So if you're syncing, we can go up 1 bar, 2 bars. And as you go up and go faster, the effect is just, again, more obvious. More aggressive. Now we get, different type of chorus. I'm going to unsync, and I'm going to go right here. Alright, so all of this is fine. It sounds cool. It sounds like a chorus. If I turn it off, it sounds like this, just super dull. So with this, we just can create, just like this, the classic, just a classic chorus. My original signal is completely mono. So if we send the mono signal, even if we are doing some chorusing right here, it's not going to be wide. This is what you get the width. This is going to separate the left and the right, and now we get that wide chorus. Gonna go all the way wet. If I turn it off, super mono, just a more classic chorus. And remember, you have your randomizer, so if you don't want to use your classic sine wave, you can just move this around, and you can even manually modulate it to get different waveforms. I go all the way up. I'm going to be going faster so we can see it. We can get unusual sounds. And this is the other face, the other side of this plugin. You can get, classic type of chorus, or you can go wild, especially when you modulate the controls. Alright, let me show you everything else. I'm going to go to a default preset, and I'm going to show you what we can do with the voices, the style, the feedback, and the filter. Because right now, all the controls are very classic controls. But with all of this, we can, convert the chorus and do some other things that we cannot do with the classic chorus. Usually when you get a chorus, it's going to be like 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 4 voices. On this one, you can do 24 voices. And of course, I'm going to be playing that different clip. Again, it's very dull on purpose. If I go to 24, what you get is more density. right here, you need to change your settings to make the 24 voices sound the way you want. Maybe I'm gonna stay on the width 100%, go up in time, then maybe make it faster. And of course, since we have more voices, it's gonna sound a little bit different, right? And if we manually modulate the controls, we get more spatial sounds. It sounds like a reverb now. If I go to 2 voices, it sounds like that, of course. But more voices, it's going to give you this spatial type of sound. A thing that you need to know is that if you go up on the voices, it will consume more CPU. But I'm checking the RAM right now, and the consumption is not a lot. It's not super crazy. It's actually pretty good. If we, of course, take into account that we are using 24 voices. If I play it back with this amount of voices, one thing that is super interesting is going to be the feedback. This is going to give you a completely different sound. Sometimes when you modulate this, it's gonna go crazy and up in volume. You have an option right here, I'm gonna put it in red. I'm gonna explain it in a second, but in this case, I'm gonna keep it on the feedback 100% and modulate this control. Really wild. The feedback is it's super important, especially to get this type of sounds. But then you have the style, and the style works along with the feedback. The smooth style is going to give you like a reverb type of tail. It sounds like a reverb. But the other one, it gives you a more metallic type of sound. Alright, so you can get the classic course or you can go wild with the options that you have right here. I'm gonna go back to a default patch. I'm gonna be playing a clip and I want to discuss the multiband, which is not multiband. You have a filter and a multiband. I'm gonna stand on filter. I'm gonna go to more voices, and now that we know the controls, of course, I'm gonna go up on the feedback and I'm gonna get this reverb type of sound. Now if I go all the way to the wet, we are only listening to the process signal. So if I go all the way up on the high pass and all the way down on the low pass, we get nothing. We are just filtering pretty much everything. So with this, you can remove the low frequencies of the process signal, or just maybe let pass the lower ones and just remove the higher ones, or just maybe remove a little bit from the top and a little bit from the bottom. All right. So it's a filter. But you need to know that if you remove everything, of course, nothing passes. We are on 100% wet. Now, the multiband is going to be a little bit different. If I go there, I'm removing everything. But we cannot hear the process signal, but we do listen to the dry signal. So that's what it does. It's going to create a crossover between the dry and the wet signal. Even if we are all the way on the 100% wet, what we listen right here, what we're hearing, is the lower frequencies of the dry signal. If I go closer to the dry, we get the dry. But if I go up, we only hear the wet signal for the higher frequencies, but it's letting the lower frequencies of the dry one pass. This is what the multiband does. Notice that we can hear more all the lower frequencies, most of the frequencies of the original signal, and only the higher ones of the processed one. This is what the multiband does. If I go all the way up, I'm just getting the low ones. Alright, so then you have the input and the output, right? Which is going to be right here. If I play something back, we just can manage how much input we input to the plugin, and if we go all the way down, we would just get nothing. Even if I go all the way dry, if we provide no input, nothing is going to come out. And right here you can, of course, control what comes out. But this is, super obvious. What I want to show you is the controls that you have right here. On this one, if you go there, it's going to say input send mode. I'm going to enable it. Now, if I play it back, if I go down on the input, notice that, of course, it's not going down in volume. Why is that? And if I go up, I get nothing. So since this is in send, it's sending in parallel the signal to the plugin. Since we are all the way dry, none of this matters. It only matters on the wet signal. So I could go maybe all the way or maybe halfway right here. And if I go down on the input, we hear more of the dry one and we hear more of the wet signal. So right here, like, you could maybe map this control and get a tremolo-ish type of modulation. And if you go all the way wet, if I go down, of course, you get nothing. Because you're just listening to the wet signal, and the input now belongs only to the wet process signal. Then on the output section, you have 3 different modes. It's going to be purple, it's going to be orange, and it's going to be nothing. Now, if you go way too loud, and I'm going to go loud right now, it's going to tell you right here that you are clipping a lot. So what it gives you right here is 2 different profiles. The purple one is going to be a soft, gentle limiting. If I push it up, it will not go into red, but it's doing some limiting. And the other one, it's going to be the same idea, but the red one is going to be a more aggressive limiting. It's completely up to you and whatever it is that you're trying to do with the plugin. Notice that we don't get red right here. So we've been using the dull sound, and again, I did this on purpose so we can hear, how dull this sounds, and how we can change it to something more, something better. Now let's try it on some guitars. I'm gonna play the guitar. It is still, it has a delay, has something. But I'm gonna put some chorus on top. I'm gonna turn it on, and you get that classic chorus sound, which is fine. I'm gonna go through the presets and see what you get. Since this is a guitar, maybe something more essential or traditional. That was nice. Off. On. Modulated, highly modulated. I mean, 2 voices, we can really hear the modulation at the back. Alright, so let's go to the spaces. Let's see what happens. Off, and then on. I'm gonna go to the next one. Oh, this one's cool. Of course, it all depends on what you want to do, or what you want to get. Alright, so let's try doing some vocals. I'm just curious now. Okay, I'm gonna play the vocal dry. It's gonna be like this. I'm gonna turn on the chorus. Completely different. Alright, so I'm gonna try the multi-band ones. Maybe not right for vocals. I'm gonna try spaces again. One thing I didn't show you is that you can lock the different controls. So for example, if I wanted to check different presets, I can lock, right here it says lock, I can lock the dry and the wet. So if I play it back, and I want to try it with this amount of dry, it's not gonna change, right, this value. Still we can do so. to the essentials.
Then I won't come back, you know my answer. Then I won't come back.
Right, so this is what you can do. Now, this is a deep dive, is a tutorial. I show you what the plugin does, and I don't provide an opinion. I'm gonna give you my opinion, maybe you care. I'm gonna like the plugin. It's very simple if you want the simple stuff, but then if you want more complex, you can do it, which is something that you don't get on all the different, all the course plugins you have in the world. The additional voices and the style are just, pretty cool to get more complex type of sounds. Okay, so if you like this and you learned something new, please like and subscribe. This channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links in the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon.